Hello and welcome back to The Greater You. Good to be with you today. So over the last couple of weeks, we went through the 7 areas of wellness. Now we're going to start digging in a little deeper. Hopefully we can get some good content out that will really get you to think deeply and make some important growth and changes in your lives. Today we're going to talk about a fundamental problem of the human experience. I bump into this all the time. I've been in the life coaching industry since the early 2000s. And certainly have seen this jump into people's lives. I've experienced it in my own life. I think people globally experience this probably daily, multiple times a day even. So this is called the I-it problem. So a couple of philosophers, guy Martin Buber and Gabriel Marcel, both started talking about this I-it problem back in the early 1900s. This is a big problem. It's really actually of ancient date. This problem is part of the human condition. You might even suggest that this problem is the core of many of kind of ancillary, auxiliary problems that we experience in life. The other problems are rooted in this I-it problem. What is the I-it problem? So the I-it problem is this tendency that human beings have to objectify people. That is to stop seeing people as people and to start seeing people as objects. So what does that mean? And how does that show up? If we're in a conversation with, someone you're trying to buy a car from on a used car lot, sorry for all of you car salesmen out there, and you get into a conversation and you can see that this person is really just trying to press the sale. They're not really interested in what you are interested in. They're not really getting to know you. They might be seeing you as an object, right? An object that can make them some money, right? Now, certainly there's plenty of great salespeople out there that have figured out how to see people as people, but that's just an example where it may show up. But this can happen in all kinds of areas of our lives. It happens with our relationships all the time. Do we find ourselves getting frustrated with our children and seeing them as a nuisance or something that's getting in our way? That would be us being in the I-it problem. You can zoom this out and look at this at a global level. The I-it problem shows up currently in the news. You will find different nation states that are at war with one another. At the core of their conflict is this I-it problem. They are seeing the other nation or the other people as others, as objects that should be removed, destroyed, manipulated, changed in some way to the point where they'll wage war. So this is a global problem. This is a human-to-human problem. This is a relational problem. And it's a scalable problem that can happen in very small areas with coworkers and friends and family, and larger areas within communities, right? So at the core of the I-it problem is this judgment, right? We see people as objects and we start assigning blame and we start assigning roles and start saying that this person did this and that, and so therefore they should be punished or whatever. So this is a big problem, and it causes conflict in our relationships and causes misery for people. There is a solution to the I-it problem. You've all felt this too, and you've all experienced this too. It's when we see people as people, right? So there's 2 ways of being here. There's the objectifying kind of I-it way of being. The words that Martin Buber and Gabriel Marcel and some of those contemporaries used was the I-thou as the solution. That is seeing people as people in our modern day vernacular. When we see people as people, we no longer see them as objects, and we realize they have feelings, they have thoughts. The person on the other end of your argument has, worries and concerns and hurt and pain and suffering. I would dare say that connecting to the suffering of others is one of the great solutions to the I-it problem. You suffer, I suffer, so does everyone else. When we connect to others and their suffering, it really helps us remove that problem of objectification and helps us to see people as people. Great contemporary thinkers have been challenging this challenge of the I-it problem, looking at it and trying to find solutions. Terry Warner, Jim Farrell, they call it being in the box, out of the box. There's a great book out there, The Gap and the Gain by Benjamin Hardy and Dan Sullivan. That's a great book. Dan Sullivan, I think, has been at this for a long time, coaching people since the 70s even, and has helped a lot of people. And the way they talk about it is being in the gap. If you're in the gap, you're in this kind of objectification place where you're not seeing solutions, you're not seeing answers, you're not seeing success. When you're in the gain, you're seeing success, you're seeing people's humanity, you're seeing that you and others are doing their best. So really everyone's trying to say the same thing. It's this I-it problem. They're looking for solutions. So there are great solutions to this, and let's talk about those. The solution is to see people as people. If we can practice empathy, if we can see that suffering that this person is going through, you can relate to, and you can hear them out. So using empathy and validation are great solutions. Attaching to their suffering by understanding that you suffer, they suffer, we're suffering. Let's try and ease suffering together. Trying to understand, putting on the shoes of the other person and recognizing where they're coming from can help us get out of the box, right? Can help us get out of that I-it problem. I think that a deep sense of accountability is a massive solution to this. If we can be truly accountable for our actions and remove blame, blame is one of the fastest ways to bring ourselves into the I-it problem. If we can overcome that tendency we have to want to blame others for our problems, and be more accountable for our own attitudes, actions, behaviors, judgments, and own that stuff, then that can really help us overcome that objectification piece. And notice that this happens towards ourselves. People objectify themselves and they get too hard on themselves and they think that they're never enough. That's the I-it problem. You're just doing it towards yourself. So those are a few solutions that we like to look at. See people as people. Do your best to have empathy, to validate, to really understand, put on other people's shoes and see what it's like to walk a mile in their shoes. Attach yourself to their suffering, meaning that you understand that people suffer, you suffer, try and ease their suffering. Try and give them some grace in that. Be truly accountable rather than blaming. We do these things, we tend to find ourselves moving out of the I-it problem. Notice that even accountability can eject you from the I-it problem right away if we just own like, oh, whoa, hey, I think I was just being kind of judgmental right there. If you're in a conversation with somebody and you say that, they're gonna be like, whoa, you're like, hey, I'm sorry about that. I really, tell me again, I really need to hear what you're saying. That accountability is a massive solution to the I-it problem. All right, so give these solutions some thought, and I'd love to hear from you, your idea on this I-it and its problem and the solutions that come with it. Give it some practice, try this empathy stuff, try understanding suffering, apply these antidotes and see if you can find yourself living out of the box, as Terry Warner, Jim Farrell would say, or being more in that gap way of being or thinking that Dan Sullivan would teach you to do, or being in the I-thou mindset that Martin Buber and Gabriel Marcel would say, or as I'm saying, just see people as people and do your best with it. Have a great day, and it's good talking to you. Thank you.